problems I see today is that, money issues and money arguments are one of the top causes of divorce, more than infidelity. Think about that. So if we don't teach our kids to talk about money in a healthy way, we're setting them up for failure and disaster in the future.
Smart money parenting.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Smart Money Parenting. I hope you like the jingle. And I'm hanging out here with Chad today. How's it going, Chad?
Going great. And I think the jingle was great as well. I'd like to add my 2 cents there.
I was on the guitar and you were on the vocals. Is that how that went?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Usually you're the female lead.
Oh, boy.
Okay, today's topic. Do your kids know what stuff costs? Are you involving your kids in financial decisions? Do your kids know the cost of things? This is one that gets way out of whack. And I think that when a kid leaves your home, if they don't understand the basic cost of things, they are going to go awry real quick. What do you think, Chad?
I think it's crazy. Like when I was growing up, I was born in 79. I'm that old. Like we used to play a game called MASH where you would draw out your future life. Like you pick options of people you would marry and where you would live and your job and vacations, and how many kids, all that stuff. What we never played was like, how much is my lifestyle going to cost? Because none of us had any clue, like we weren't budgeting stuff. We were just like, yeah, I'm going to have all these kids in this house and vacation and all this cool stuff. But it was like, I have no idea how much that actually cost, how much I need to earn when I grow up. And it's like, if you were to ask your kids, how much do you think, I live in Southern California, for those of you listening, like, how much do you think it costs on a monthly basis to live in Southern California? Like, how much is the rent or the mortgage? How much is the utilities, electricity? How much is, how much is a car or a house here? Like, I don't think kids have a clue. Most kids don't have a clue.
And I think the only way they do find out is when a parent gets frustrated. Turn that light off. You're wasting energy.
Yep.
Yep. Turn that faucet off. You're wasting water. It's the negative experiences where they're like, oh, money's a bad thing to talk about. Oh, okay. I better be careful. I better walk on eggshells and not ask any questions. And so then they shy away from it. And then all of a sudden you get 19-year-olds that are in credit card debt that don't know the cost of anything. And the bank of mom and dad just keeps on rolling on. So,
well, because they've never even gone to a grocery store or to any kind of store. Like, just look, I have 3 teenagers right now, 5 kids and 3 teenagers. Like the grocery bill alone is insane. And you've met my kids. The teenagers are like basically adults.
They're giants.
They're giants. My boys are 6'5" and 6'3" and change and growing. My daughter's 6'1". Like these kids eat like grown adults. Okay. And just the simple stuff. Like we just had winter formal at our high school. The kids have no idea how much money goes into winter formal. Actually McKinley, our daughter, she had to go buy the boutonniere and what is that called? The corsage?
Yeah, corset.
Corset. Yeah, whatever. Boutonniere, corset. Corsage. Yeah, that's what I said. Corsage. I was like, wait a second. So like the flowers alone for the corsage and the boutonniere were like $50 or $40. And she was like, I can't believe this. We should have made this ourselves. That's what she said. And I'm like, yeah, that's expensive. And she had to pay for it. And she's just like, I can't believe how much that costs. Like, that's so expensive. Then you add the tickets to the dance. Then you add the dress. Then you add the dinner before the dance. Then you add the transportation or the gas to get there. And then they had a little after party. So it's like, kids need to learn that stuff costs a lot of money for them to appreciate money. If you don't teach them, they're just going to grow up having no clue, and they're going to be just a real detriment to society, having no understanding of what goes on financially out there.
I'm still stuck on that MASH comment from the beginning.
You never played MASH?
I think I was an astronaut married to that Baywatch girl.
There you go.
Mansion with the Lambo. Every single time I played that game.
How many kids did you have?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I had like 17. And I wanted to hang out with a bunch of kids, and I was like, oh, cool, I can have my own soccer team.
There you go.
And but little did I know the cost of that mashup. So yeah, we have this game in GravyStack that is one of my favorites. It's called The Price is Right. And we basically use machine learning inside this mini game where kids compete to learn the price of over 200 products that they would buy at a normal grocery store or hardware store or sporting goods store, things around the house. And it's unbelievable. The first time the kids play this game, they like get almost everything wrong. But you have like a 1-minute clock and you're literally seeing 2 photos of things and you have to click which one you think is cheaper. Is it the Tide? Is it the bread? Is it the cheese? Is it the underwear? Was it the hammer? Is it the cleats? Like, you would be unbelievably amazed at how off these kids are, even teenagers.
Sure.
I mean, like high schoolers, they're like way off. But then the more they play the game, because they're ranking against their friends and earning grits, all of a sudden they're playing this game over and over and over. And then they start to rank and prioritize the value of things. They know what's more expensive because it shows the price real quick. Right after everyone, you have a minute to get as many as you can right. And if you get it wrong, you go down. It's like a really fun learning game. And after they play this game for a while, all of a sudden they start to treat things differently around the house. They start to understand the price of the goods in the fridge. They start to take care of their sporting equipment better. They start to understand your workshop in the garage better. They start to understand their clothes differently. They don't need the Nike Air Jordans all of a sudden. They would like to make better financial decisions at home. And you as a parent, I mean, that you can tip your hat to that, because you as a parent just gave your kids some unbelievable financial training for the rest of their life. You know, that is the kind of the first step. The more your kids can learn about what things cost, the better they're going to get at understanding, oh, well, I don't need that. I don't need the branded thing. Maybe I just want generic. Hey, you know, if we buy 3 of those instead of 1, we save like 25%, right? Like on food, right? Like there's easy things you can do as a family to pass on these skills to your kids rather than, you know, doing what a lot of us did was learn them in our late 20s.
Right.
After we blew a bunch of it. So this is it's a really, really important skill to learn is, you know, we've said this all along, bring your kids along for the ride. Get them as many of these reps as you can in the home. Use every experience as a teaching moment, and your kids are going to be so much better off if they just understand the price of things, understand the value of goods.
And if they're not asking any questions, that's not a good sign. You know, it doesn't mean they know it all already. That means they're not curious. They should be asking questions. Like if the kids are saying, hey, for vacation, you know, let's just go to Disneyland or go to Disney World, or let's go to this amusement park or this water park, maybe involve them. Say, all right, how many people are in our family that want to go to this entertainment event, this sport outing, you know, this amusement park? How much is that going to cost? What about the food? Let's plan the event together. Let's get an experience and plan the cost of it together. And how can we earn and save money to do something like that? I think that's just a much more productive way to say, no, we can't afford it. Or sure, let's go. Like either of those responses don't really teach the kids anything. Instead of like, that's a great idea. You know, how could we invest or save for that? How could we make that happen? How much do you think that would cost? Let's talk about it together. I like your idea, like encourage that engagement and let's have a financial discussion about how to make it possible. I think sometimes we get into the scarcity mindset of just saying no all the time. And, you know, maybe the conclusion is no to their idea of what they want to buy or what they want to go do as a family or by themselves. Maybe the right answer is no, but let's explore it a little bit and have a financial lesson about it by just saying, how much do you think that would cost? Let's talk about it. How can we make that possible? What's something maybe we could give up so we could make that possible? And they say, you know what? It's a great idea. I don't really need to do this. I'd rather do this. And you teach them alternatives and you teach them good decision-making skills around money. But it all starts with having those conversations and understanding how much does stuff cost. Because if they just hear yeses and nos, then they just think, well, what's the limit of what my parents can afford? Well, my friend's parents can afford this. My other friend's parents can afford this. And they said yes, and they said no. And it's just like a comparison thing rather than understanding what stuff costs and how can we make things happen.
That's why budgeting is so critical. I mean, you don't have to be like, we don't have enough money for this.
Right.
That's not what we want to be talking to our kids about. It's, you know, we have these funds or this budget for this, or we have this much available, or we want to be able to do this, but we're going to have to give up something else to be able to do it as a family. So let's have that conversation. Kids need to learn trade-offs, right? Like one of my favorite games in the GravyStack app is that family travel challenge where the kids are literally looking up, if you're going to go on a trip, whether it's camping or going to the beach or Disneyland or whatever it is, the kids have to find 3 flights, get the best deal. 3 rental cars, get the best deal. 3 hotels or a VRBO and get the best deal. Find 3 places you're going to eat and get the best deal. Find out and budget that trip ahead of time. You will be amazed at all the skills that your kids are learning in just one thing. You don't have to do the game for that, right? And we make it easy, but you can do that with your kids tomorrow. What's your next trip that you're going to do as a family? Get your kids involved, make it a weekend activity, and they will start to understand the cost of what's going on in their lives and the experiences you have, and they will appreciate it more. Okay.
Yeah, what about in the GravyStack app about these subscriptions and knowing how much all their subscriptions cost? Because, you know, kids have Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or Netflix in the home. Tell us about like how kids can learn about subscriptions and be smart with money around that.
Yeah. So, you know, we have those 3 E's, which is, first one is you set your expectations. Hey kids, you're doing these things for free, right? These are the expectations. You're going to go wake up, take care of your, you know, get dressed, make your bed, clean your room, take out the trash, do the dishes. This is my expectation for you in this home. This is your rent, right? Then the number 2 is your expenses. Here are the expenses we're going to start passing off to you as you become older, starting with toys and souvenirs and trinkets. And then it goes to social outings with friends and birthday presents and that Disney Plus subscription that you use so often. You're going to have to start paying for some of that. And then the 3rd one is extra pay, right? Extra pay is the 55 plus home gigs that are automated in the app that you set it and forget it. And it repeats each day, week, month for the kids to earn money in the home to cover those expenses. And one of my favorite games is the subscription hunt. It's in the 1st level. It's in the save level. The kids are taught how to cancel subscriptions and in the game, and to earn grits and to earn rewards, they're going into their own home and helping mom and dad cancel subscriptions.
Like real life. Like real life subscriptions. Yes.
Real life money. I mean, they're literally calling and canceling. They're literally like pressing, unsubscribe, get this refund. And the parents are blown away that the kids are doing this audit that they just forgot to do this month or this year, right? So many of our expenses go away from annual hits, monthly hits that we didn't realize before. Oh, wow, we kind of out purchased our skis here the last couple months. We should pull back a little bit. And you get to have these conversations with your kids, and the average family has saved $547 annually by doing that one game, right?
Wow.
So that's cost of GravyStack covered for 5 years right there. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But it all has to come back to this idea of knowing the cost of the things in your life. It is that simple. And one thing I want to talk about, Chad, is we have to make sure that we're doing this in a safe environment that's with our kids. Kids cannot hear about money by the negative comments you say about money. This is the biggest issue. Kids that when we interview them, they're like, we don't want to talk about money. Our parents fight about money. They argue about expenses and budgets and forgetting the bill. And we can't afford that. You can't go to camp. We've talked about this before, but it's very different to have a conversation with your kid that's like, hey, let's learn what this costs. Hey, let's budget for this, trip. Let's talk about, hey, what do you think this costs our family each month? And you don't say it in a negative way. You can say it in a safe, confident way that keeps the relationship with your kids. So many parents, they end up saying no a lot, and then they feel bad. And that's when they use things to bribe or buy love from their kids.
So true.
That's what happens so often with these money decisions. And the biggest miss is that the kids don't even know the cost of anything along the way.
It's more like an emotional back and forth. It's not really a discussion around money. It's just an emotional back and forth. And there's no learning or progress there at all.
That's right. The more you can have that progress in confident, safe environments where kids feel okay talking about this stuff, they should feel okay to ask the questions and learn along the way. And that's what the best smart money parents do. They bring them along for the ride. So, all right. Anything else you want to hit on this topic?
Yeah. One thing I would add, Scott, one thing I would add is like, we sometimes assume they know the cost of stuff they ask for. And so I've caught myself, especially as a younger dad in the beginning, when my kids would ask for something and I'd be like, really? Like, you're really going to ask for that? You know how much that costs? That's crazy. Like that you would just ask for that at your age. And as I've gotten more experience, I've got a lot more parenting years under my belt now. it's way more of a neutral and calm reaction when my kids ask for stuff that's expensive or that's like an unnecessary want. I'm like, well, what about that do you want? And it might be something like, oh, well, my friend said it's really cool and really fun. And I just thought, I want to get that kind of a scooter or moped or something. And it's like, so do you really want it? Like if we talked about how to earn money to pay that much for a scooter, and it's like, oh, on second thought, I actually don't really want that. If it costs that much money, I'd rather do something else. So like, I think exploring the motives behind what kids ask for and what they want, and then discussing what stuff costs. Like that's something that we can do as parents to be better parents for our kids, is have those conversations about what stuff really costs and the motivations behind them wanting it. And I think that will lead also to a much healthier relationship, which will affect them in their future. When they're having marital conflicts about money, they're going to understand how to communicate about money. And that's one of the biggest problems I see today, is that, money issues and money arguments are one of the top causes of divorce, more than infidelity. Think about that. So if we don't teach our kids to talk about money in a healthy way, we're setting them up for failure and disaster in the future.
Yeah. And that's also one of the biggest breaks in legacy, right? A relationship between a kid and a parent is often strained by money issues.
Good point.
On both sides of the coin. My dad's loaded. He can do that. He can pay for that. My family's rich. They'll do that. My parents are broke. They're not going to go for that. That's not healthy conversations around money with your kids, right?
Right.
Kids that are getting older, realizing that their parents either entitled them and spoiled them, or on the other side, neglected so many things and made so many bad decisions, that can break relationships. Now I'm in charge of all this debt from my parents that did this and that, right? Like, if you don't get this under control and have a healthy relationship with your kids and start having the conversations about what things cost, how we invest, how we earn as a family, how we share, where we give, why we make these decisions, and helping bring them along with you, it's going to strain that relationship on both sides of the coin later on in life. And you're not a parent just for 18 years, guys. You're a parent for the rest of your life, hopefully. In most good circumstances, the moment you have a kid, you're the parent for the rest of your life. So, we've got a bunch of people listening to this that are grandparents, right? That are still trying to have a great relationship with their kids that are now grown adults. And so they want to make sure that they're able to bring along this legacy thinking. And I heard this stat that, over 90% of wealth that's passed on from generation to generation gets basically wasted and squandered within 2 generations, 1 to 2 generations, right?
True story. I've seen it.
Most of the millionaires are basically self-made, and then it's just a pop and a flash in the pan, and then their kids or grandkids just spoil it and waste it or give it away because they don't feel worthy of it, right? But what I heard was the only way to pass this stuff on successfully is through communication and education. Your kids, if you communicate clearly these types of skills and you educate them well along the way, they'll be so much more capable and confident to take care of your estate, your wealth when you pass, dealing with your trust and your things. And when you're older and you need to be taken care of yourself, they'll be way more capable to do so. And so, you're not a parent for a few years, you're a parent for the rest of your life. And it's a blessing if you do it right. It's not a curse. It's not a hard thing. It should be an incredible blessing. Kids are a blessing from the Lord in every which way. But we're trying to give you the skills to save you that pain in the long run.
And as a smart money parent, you're listening to this show because you want to learn tactics and ideas and maybe be motivated or inspired to do things as a family that's going to set your next generation up for success. We want to help you help your kids become ready to succeed in the real world long before they're 25 years old. Like there's no reason to wait. And the principle today that we've been talking about really is help them understand how much stuff costs. It's very simple. Write it down. I'm teaching my kids what stuff costs, and in a healthy way where we can actually have great engaging discussions and talk about making our dreams and goals a reality, with an understanding and a base knowledge of this is how much it costs. And so thank you so much for listening, guys. Smart Money Parenting Show. If you haven't already, follow us, like, subscribe, give us comments and reviews. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for helping us spread this movement, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
All right, we'll see you.
It takes more than money if you want to succeed. You gotta know what to do with it. You gotta take the lead. You gotta give them confidence. You gotta make them smart. If your kids are gonna thrive, now's the time to start. Smart